Hey, welcome, elite entrepreneurs and empire builders. Welcome back to Fran Opps Live. I am your host, Jared Nassiff, and this is the show where we connect you with vetted and qualified franchise brands and the brilliant minds behind them. So that way, our goal really is to help you be able to franchise your future with confidence and clarity. This is a massive decision you are potentially making. You should not do this alone, especially if you've never done it before, right? Today, at the time that we're doing this live, we're closing out 2025 with a conversation that every aspiring business owner genuinely needs to hear. We're talking franchising versus starting your own business. Which path wins? And to help us unpack it, I'm joined by someone who knows both sides of that conversation, that equation, better than almost anyone. Rick Mayo, the founder and CEO of Alloy Personal Training, is with us today. Now, Rick, great story. He started with a single independently owned gym, went on to build one of the top fitness franchise brands in the world. And maybe you've seen him. He's been featured in countless industry publications. He's helped thousands of owners succeed through the Alloy model, and he knows the difference between building a business and building a brand. So we're going to dig into the lessons that he's learned, the myths that people believe about starting from scratch versus franchising, and how to know which path actually leads to more freedom, to all of your goals. And not just leads to more work and headache and waste of time, waste of finances, but how do you know that if you are what kind of person you are and which path should you be pursuing? Do you join a franchise or do you go and start your own business? So without further ado, let's franchise your future. This is Fran Opps Live. Yeah, Rick, welcome, my friend. Welcome
what's up? I came right out of the video and popped right onto your screen. How you doing?
How'd you get here, man? It's good to see you. So, I'm good. I'm good. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm genuinely excited for this and to hear your story, but to have this conversation because I cannot think of a better business or a better franchise with which to have this conversation specifically. Should you start your own business or should you join a franchise? What other business beyond personal training is better equipped? I mean, I don't know of another personal training franchise, honestly, like this. Right. And so because it's so independent, like that's like personal trainers across the board are either a part of some big box gym or it's their own independent practice. I mean, but I can't think of another business that better fits this conversation today. So thanks for being on. Can we start with a little bit of your story, really kind of where you came from and how you got to where Alloy is today?
Yeah. Look, first, thanks for having me on. And we started the entrepreneurial journey in '92. So I was a junior in college and I was working as a personal trainer, paying my way through school. And I thought, wouldn't it be a novel concept to not have to travel around to different locations or people's homes and just put four walls and a customer experience around this service of personal training. And so we launched, and it was at least in the city of Atlanta where we're based, it was as far as I know, there's no internet, so you can't disprove this, but I was the only, company business dedicated to just the service of personal training. And it was sort of in its infancy, right?
Yeah, I bet.
It grew, we ended up learning how to train more than one person at a time and still keep the brand promise of personal training, which brought a better value proposition to the consumer. We ended up being highest revenue per square foot facility in the country. And so that put me on the speaking circuit. So now I'm speaking, 15, 20 times a year. And then if you get in front of people and someone says you're an expert, even if you have no idea what you're talking about, people are going to listen.
That's right.
And then they ask more questions. And that led to a lot of consulting, not just with other boutique brands, but large brands as well. And then we launched it's a confusing term now, but we launched what we called licensing, which just think of a white labeled version of what we do. That was probably 20 years ago now.
Okay.
And we scaled that, Jared, to 2,500 door fronts. I mean, everything from cricket training centers in India to aquatics training centers in Tasmania and Cyprus and Albania. And I mean, all over the world, obviously a ton in the US, Australia, New Zealand, UK, I mean, everywhere really that I can think of. And that ended up landing me on the board with some of the largest franchises, not just in fitness, but in the world. So I got a nice peek under the covers at franchising. We built things for those guys, a lot of consulting for the big boutique brands as well. And then in 2019, we're like, look, instead of powering everyone else's franchise, we've got some special sauce. We've had a view on worldwide markets everywhere. At this point, I probably had started 6, 7 businesses. So I can certainly understand like the entrepreneurial spirit of like building your own thing. Right. And then of course now we're, post COVID, which was a bit of a hiccup for, I think everyone, certainly in my space. Back on it. Now we're at 400 awarded and 130 open, and we're opening, we're budgeting 99 to open next year. And selling at a good clip. So we have a long runway,
but just said budgeting to open 99. I mean, because right now, I mean, regularly, it's a hot topic conversation in the franchising space of brands that grow too quickly. That did not account for the growth or necessarily didn't care. They just wanted to collect fees and grow and build, blah, 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 and they weren't ready for it. They didn't prepare for it. So I like that you say that too. That shows.
Look, if we work with a guy like you, Jared, so a consultant, and then we work with a franchise sales organization, and all of those folks, they do a great job of bringing candidates and giving them an opportunity at being entrepreneurs, and giving us an opportunity at bringing on a good franchise partner. All those people need to be taken care of. So at the end of the day, if you're going to grow with that strategy, you really don't grow the business until you get people open in a timely manner and get them to revenue, which is how we both change lives and make money. And so for us, very few, if any, sold not opens, which SNOWS is the acronym that we use. And so, I think the thing I'm most proud of is not that we've sold or awarded a lot of people, but the fact that we are getting everyone open, even our multi-unit owners. We've got folks that have their 6, 7, 8 coming online, second, third, people, current franchisees coming back to purchase more locations is a great sign. So, man, that to me is the most important part, because awarding them something, but getting them open and helping them get to revenue, get return on investment, that's key.
How long is it taking you guys on normally to get someone from when they join to when they open?
So in their franchise agreement, it says they have 12 months. And so our average has vacillated anywhere between 10 and a half up to a little over 12. It just depends, right? It depends on what permitting is. Permitting is always the wild card for us. It depends on your local municipalities. And so based on that, it can take a little longer in some markets. It can go really quick in other markets. It's sort of luck of the draw. And we use expediters and everything to help it out. But you're just sort of at the
you have a whole process in that regard too. So
of course.
Good. Now let's go back to this, what we're talking about today, right? Is because you have, personally, I've seen both sides of the coin. You started from scratch many, many times, and you've also been scaling through franchising for a long time. So from your perspective, what might be some of the biggest mindset differences between an entrepreneur when they're kind of weighing out if there's someone who should start out alone and do their own independent thing, or if there's someone that should maybe consider joining a franchise system?
I think really a lot of it is, when you're looking at an opportunity, the flip side of that coin is risk, right? And I think statistically speaking, and it makes sense, you are mitigating a lot of your risk by investing in a franchise. And I know it sounds like a self-serving thing to say, Jared, but at this point, having done both, built something from the ground up, all the nuts and bolts on my own. And now that I'm in franchising and I look at franchising and how many resources that we, deploy on behalf of our franchisees, if I was going to open another business, service related or product related, whatever that might be, I would do a franchise, because then I can put all of my entrepreneurial spirit into like bringing on a great team, right? Taking care of those guys. And I just don't have to build every single thing from the tech stack to the product itself. And all of that stuff is taken care of. And I can't tell you how difficult it is to get something off the ground and build it, right? Yeah. And make sure it works, much less for it to be scalable and to take it, to a certain level. So I think you're mitigating risk ultimately. And also if you want to scale, I'll give you an example. So, we were independent, like you said, opened many businesses. I used to run a mastermind group, was one of our businesses. So we had studio owners from all over the world, several hundred that were in this mastermind group that would pay us to learn about operations and how to run their business. And a lot of those people became Alloy franchisees, and a lot of them were very successful. So you would ask, well, if you owned an independent business that was in the same category and you did really well, why would you ever franchise? And the answer is they wanted something that was scalable, meaning maybe in that one location with their entrepreneurial brain and all the, everything they'd put into it, they could make one location work really well, but they were self-aware and mature enough as owners to know that if they wanted to do, say, 10 locations, they needed the power and the bandwidth of a franchise. It just mitigates risk, and a lot of the things that you have to build from the ground up are taken care of. So I think scale is also another reason that you would look at franchising instead of building your own, meaning, hey, I would love, to have this elusive semi-absentee tag, right? Eventually, well, you're going to need something else to power it. And I think lastly, why would you buy into a franchise and starting your own? If you have aspirations of down the road, 7, 10, 15 years down the road, you want to sell, right? You want to exit and get a bigger return on investment. Typically, you're going to get a much higher multiple if you're in a franchise system, because the new buyer doesn't want to buy your crazy entrepreneurial brain manifested in a business. They want to buy something that's powered by a system, right? And a franchise is that in its essence. And so those are the three reasons. Like, don't build it from the ground up, right? You're going to mitigate risk if you jump into something that's proven. And then ultimately, right, if you do say, hey, I've had a good run at this, it's been amazing, but I'm going to go to the beach now. Well, you're going to get a much higher multiple typically if you're in a franchise structure. So your return on investment can be much higher in a franchise as well.
Yeah, because what you're saying, and that's so good. We've talked about risk, and if you're more of a risk averse individual, or if you love risk,
right?
Love risk, but are comfortable with it. You talked about scalability. If you're an individual with an empire building kind of mindset, and then exit potential. So are you stepping into this business, whether it's independent or franchise, with an exit strategy in mind? Are you thinking with the end in mind? All of those significant benefits. Now, I think on the flip side, though, like starting your own independent business, there's definitely a case to be made for each of those. I think as well, especially like scalability. Like that's what you did, right? You started Alloy independently. You started your personal training business. It wasn't a franchise. And then you chose to turn it into a franchise too, which is a whole nother conversation,
whole other animal
as well, right? But it started with the independent business and you were able to scale it into something incredible today. So there is, I think, a case to be made that maybe if you're that kind of individual, then that would be a route to consider as well. But I think what we're saying as a whole is like, not everyone is made for franchising, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you're a true entrepreneur and you like to tinker and break things and fix them and break them, and you really just like to create for the sake of creating, you should probably go it alone. Now, I will tell you that a lot of those things will serve you, for a minute. And then eventually, even in your own business, you're going to have to kill your squirrel brain and stay focused enough to actually operate a business, right? And there's mechanisms that have to happen and things that are doing boring work every day and all the things that we can talk about.
Well, before you scare them off of that, let's stay on it for a second on the positive side. What might be some like genuine advantages to starting their own? Build a case for starting your own and the advantages that come with that you don't get with franchising.
Sure. I mean, you get ultimate flexibility, so you can do whatever you want. Essentially, I think that's it. Like if you're someone who wants ultimate control over everything in your business and you enjoy, again, creating things, tinkering, breaking things, fixing them, then I think that is the way to go. And, we do have candidates sometimes, Jared, that come through the pipeline, rare, But sometimes people are like, oh, could I do this or could I do that? And they want to do all these interesting things around the business that are not our core business. I'm like, man, you sound like a great candidate to open your own business. And I really mean that. I mean, you have to be very risk tolerant and some other things, but if you are, it can be very compelling and very intriguing and in a weird, sadistic way, fun if you're wired that way. Right. But I think most people, if you look at the majority of people, they'd probably be better served in a franchise. I think entrepreneurship, while it's amazing and I love it and I wouldn't have it any other way, it does get glorified a bit. And I think it's difficult, right? But that can be also the positive, right? Like if you can learn, we always say entrepreneurship is a self-help journey disguised as a business. Like you have to grow immensely personally to scale a business on your own and build it from the ground up. If you're built for it, great. If you can learn fast, adapt, weather a massive amount of risk, then there's a huge upside on the back end to what that will do for you personally. You just have to be honest with yourself if you're wired for that or not. But if you are, it's very compelling and it is very positive.
I'm going to add another one because I think you're spot on. The ability to control and do whatever you want with the business. Like I've had some people that I've met. I remember this one woman, my very first conversation. I guess my second conversation. I'm showing her some businesses that I think are good fits for her, and she says, it was a cleaning company. She goes, I like this brand. I like their model. I like what they're doing. Would they be open to changing the name? Because I don't love it. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Right.
Caught me off guard. I was like, no, I don't think they would be.
Probably not. Yeah.
For 40 years. Right. I don't think they're changing the name or anything about it.
Right.
So I don't think, I'm not saying that she wasn't a good fit for franchising, but right away it's telling me like, you're someone that you really like to have your hand on every little aspect of your business. And franchising, it is your business, but you're also committing to a partnership, really is what it is. That it's not, I guess, just your business. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's a fractionalized partnership. It's like we always say, like, we've built a really good bicycle. And, there's lots of bicycles, like lots of franchises. There's mountain bikes and road bikes and triathlon bikes or whatever's out there, right? Beach bikes. We've built a really good one, but you have to get on it and pedal it. And so there is a fractionalized partnership there. And that's why we refer to them as franchise partners. It's really, that's the way we consider it. So I would agree. And even in that, there are people that are so independent out there. And if you're honest with yourself, they don't want to work in a partnership, right? They don't like any kind of a partnership. They don't want anybody telling them what to do. Great. If that's you, go it alone, go open your own business. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And if you can pull it off, again, it's an amazing feat and a lot will come out of it. But you're right. Like if you want ultimate flexibility, and we've had candidates that came through that ultimately that was their, final lens on their choice was, can I do this? Or can I change the colors or just some things that was like, it's just not possible in a franchise. There's a reason there's guardrails, but if those are things that are important to you, just go it alone. That was good feedback for them. And some of them took that advice and some were like, I don't want to go it alone. It's too risky. Right. So everybody's different.
Yeah. I'm going to add two other ones too, that I think are the benefit to the independent practice. And then we can talk about the other side, the franchising as well. And really some things that people misunderstand about franchising. I don't want to hear from you, but two things I would add just for the sake of, I think for the sake of trying to be fair to the camp of starting your own independent businesses is one is you're not going to have royalties. Like it's the financial investment side. It's the expectation requirement that you're committing to. You're not going to have royalties that you have to pay back. You're on the hook for moving forward. And long term, that can be a big deal, depending on what this business looks like. Right. So in and of itself, not that bad. And the second thing is similar to there are not other requirements that you're expected to meet along the way. Right. And so like those things, you're not going to have that with your own independent business. Right. It's fully yours. You're fully accountable to yourself. There's nothing else involved with it. No expectations from anyone outside of your business except your customer base. That's going to be it. Right. I think. Yeah. Right.
That's fair. So and the royalties for sure. I mean, you're going to knock 6 to 10% total with brand fund and everything baked in there. You're going to knock that off, of your expenses. So that goes straight to your bottom line.
Yeah. Right. But it's also like there's a reason for the royalty as well. And just the entire financial investment. And, I think maybe this is one. Is this fair to say that If you're trying to decide if you're someone that should start your own business or franchise, I think another like division point or another thing to consider is your ability to invest financially. I just saw this study done recently. Over 51% of all franchisees this past year had a net worth of over $1 million. But like if you're someone that you're not financially capable or qualified, or you don't have the ability to do this, then but you still really want to get into business, go start your own thing. I know a lot of businesses that started with like $100,
Right.
and they did their own. Great, do it.
Yeah.
But talk about the other side of it from franchising, Rick, is the financial investment and why is there such a high price point comparatively? It's all subjective, right? But compared to starting your own, it's a much higher price point. Why is that? What's the benefit of that for the franchisee? Speaking of that for us.
Well, a lot of it's that a lot of the problems are solved. It's like you're buying, if you start your own business, you're sort of building your recipe and taste testing it. And, it takes time and it takes energy and it takes a lot of attention. Whereas, we're giving you a fully baked cake, so to speak, and it's fully baked and it's built to taste well and bake, exactly for 20 minutes, all the things, right? And so that's really what you're buying is a proven business model. You're buying the power and recognition of a brand, and you're really buying into, and I think this is maybe undersold at times, but I think it's huge, is you're buying into a community of other franchisees. The things franchise partners, that's the thing I'm most proud of. We have franchise partners that have 400 Hilton hotels and, a couple hundred other, like big franchises, and they are very sophisticated with how they invest. And then we've got a couple of owner operators, right? So you just are able to learn from a system when you're all rowing in the same direction, you're all running the same business model. And I think that's very compelling. Entrepreneurship is awesome. Yeah. It's very fulfilling. It can also be lonely at times. And so, what I like about franchising is you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. Yeah. Not only the franchisor there as a partner, but all of your other franchise partners, right, that are in the system with you. I think there's massive strength in that. And I'm really proud of the fact that our group is very collaborative. They share all the time. They have Slack pages and Google chats. And they're constantly in contact with each other. And I think there's a lot of power in that.
Wow. Yeah, that's so good. In your opinion, what do you think most people really seem to misunderstand when it comes to franchising? What are some of the bigger misconceptions you hear from those who haven't experienced it firsthand?
Yeah, I think they feel like the controls are too tight in some ways. It's like, does that make sense? It's kind of like, well, I don't want to do a franchise because then I have to pay someone, again, a royalty or what have you. It's like, yeah, but if you had to build that from scratch, now this may be someone who's just off the cuff making a comment, right? Sure, but if you're truly considering entrepreneurship versus, again, you would look at those royalties and that and be like, I can't believe I have to pay this franchisor for what? Well, we just explained that. Like you're paying for a system. A lot of our franchisees, Jared, are entrepreneurs. Like they own boutique hotels or they'll.
I was gonna ask if you're saying entrepreneurship is different from franchise ownership, but that's not what you're saying. You are saying that it's still
in some ways. Like the term that we like to use on a catchy term is intrapreneur, where you're risk tolerant enough to take a shot on your own, but you're also willing to follow a system. And I think a mature entrepreneur, like if you're sitting there now and you're like, I'm gonna do my own thing, I'm gonna blaze my own path. I'm a cavalier. It's like trailblazer. I'm like, good, go for it. I love it. I'm the biggest fan. I teach entrepreneurship at a local college. I'm all over it. Go for it. Love it. But at the same time, we have a lot of sophisticated entrepreneurs who have started and exited their own businesses. And they're like, I never want to do that again. Or too much work. Or they're invested in other businesses where they're true entrepreneurs. And they're like, yeah, I want something that's already built so I can just grab it and scale it. Right. I think that's the big difference. Like who are you as an individual? What do you really want to accomplish? If you want to scale and you want to mitigate risk and you want something you could do, again, multiple units, franchising may be the way to go. But if you just want to build something because it's cool and it's fun and you like it, that's a viable option too. I think it's just being honest about who you are.
Yeah, I think, and some of that almost comes down to to age and experience. Not in
Right.
every single situation, but largely you see, those that are younger are going to be more enticed by going and building their own thing. Those who have
Right.
lived quite a bit of life and have a lot more experience understand, I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah, it's
Oh, so that
interesting.
makes
You think
sense.
it would be the other way around. Like the younger you were, the more fearful you'd be, and you'd be
Yeah.
mitigating risk. But like,
Mhm.
look, when you got nothing to lose, it's a great time to just take a shot, right, and try to build
Yep.
something. And I'm all over it. I think it's great. I love teaching these kids that
Yeah.
are in their graduate programs. They're
Yeah.
22, 23, maybe 24, and they're just like, "What do I need to do?" I'm like, "Well, you
Yeah.
got nothing to lose. Like, try everything, right?"
It's so good.
Um,
Yeah.
but at some point, yeah, once you've done it a few times, you're like, I don't want to build something from ground up anymore. I would love to grab a different concept that I believe in and just scale the heck out of it and actually get return on investment quicker.
Yeah.
Franchising is good for that,
Yeah.
So it is interesting. I do see the same thing as like the more seasoned entrepreneurs would
Mhm.
rather grab a franchise, and the ones that are
Mhm.
new, nothing to lose and tons of energy, and maybe not a lot of resources yet, but
Mhm.
that's okay because they've got a lot of work ethic and they're young,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and they
In
can
other words,
push,
stage of life is something you need to consider when you're trying
big
to
time.
decide which path to move forward with. But for you, and this may be another thing for other people to help evaluate if franchising is the right step for them versus independent practice, is you've helped Alloy franchisees succeed, in markets across the country. Right. So what are you seeing any specific patterns or characteristics regarding your most successful franchisees, and what are some of those things versus those who tend to struggle?
I would say this is probably for both true entrepreneurs and franchise partners of ours. And again, some have been both, right? A lot of it is stoic control of your emotions. I know it sounds crazy, but look,
Mm.
entrepreneurship, even in a franchise, even if you're a franchisee, it's not for wimps. You're going to have your ups and downs. And again, it's
Yep.
very fulfilling. Self-help journey disguised as a business, all the things we've talked about already.
Mhm.
But I think it can be terrifying at times, right? And you live or die by your decisions, right? Even with personnel in a franchise system, there's a system there, but you still got to pedal that bike, like we talked about.
Mm.
And if you've worked
Mm.
in corporate, maybe you've been a CFO of a mid-level company, that's awesome.
Mhm.
But now you're keeping your books for your small business and you're making 1,000 little decisions a day, and it can be terrifying. So I
Yeah.
think being able to regulate your emotions, and you don't overstretch when things are going well, and
Wow.
you don't panic when things are, in a trough, because you're going to have peaks and valleys for your entirety of your entrepreneurial journey. And being able to keep those in perspective is really, really valuable. And I can tell you across our system, the people that are good at that skill, that can
Mhm.
keep a level head regardless of what's happening, just tend to do better because personally they're just better organized. I'll give you an
Yeah.
example. We
Okay.
work the CRM that we work with is the largest one in the fitness space, right? Well,
Mhm.
periodically, every couple of years, you're going to have a hiccup in any kind of software, like an Amazon server goes down. I mean, you've seen it in any kind of software, really.
Right.
And I remember we had a day where we had a little glitch, right? And it was
Mhm.
just the CRM. It had nothing to do with us.
Okay.
And there wasn't one of our franchise partners that's in our probably top 20% that we even heard from. They're just like, cool. I think maybe it was offline for maybe 2 hours, right? And it really wasn't a huge disruption in business, but boy, some of the ones that might be in our mid performers, that are just trying to get their head around
Mhm.
it, become full on panic. What are we going to do? Oh my gosh. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but
The
it's funny
sky's
how you
falling.
could
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
right? And these guys are just like, it's cool. It's a couple hours. Like, appreciate you guys letting us know, because they're just doing business, right? And they
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
things in perspective. So it's an interesting take, but I do think I see it across
Wow.
the board with
Yeah.
with true entrepreneurs or franchisees. Being able to control your emotions, keep things in perspective, is a really good skill to have.
That is a crucial skill, and so good that you said that. I haven't had someone say that yet on this podcast, but I think the incredible thing is, like, even outside of owning our business, being an entrepreneur in life, if you can learn that skill set, it'll serve you well in so many other elements, from being a father to a wife to being a parent to being a sibling to whatever it might be, even out of family relationships, like your career, your business, your work, like whatever
That's
it
why we
is.
say
Uh,
self-help journey disguised as a business, because it's only going to go as
yeah,
far as you
okay.
can take it. If you're
Mm.
going to open your own thing, especially, that business will only grow as far as you can grow. So if you are wildly affected by ups and downs, and it's going to be a tough road. If you can manage all that, not too difficult, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just a good skill to have, not only for business, to your point, Jared, but for your entire life. You could
Yeah.
argue.
Wow, that's so good. Hey, for someone, watching this right now, or even later on, they're watching this later down the road, Rick, who's still torn between starting their own business or should they, look into franchise ownership, recap some of this stuff and really put it into these terms. What are maybe like one or two questions that they should be asking themselves before they make a decision?
Yeah, I think, what's my risk tolerance?
Okay.
Do I work well with others? Do I work well within a system?
Yep.
Right. And then ultimately, what's my end goal? Is it to build something from the ground up, and enjoy that journey? Or is it to buy something that is already baked that I can scale and make money from? And they are similar, but they're different. And so those are the three questions I would ask myself, right? Who am I really? What is my risk tolerance? And what's my end game? Like, what am I working towards here? And I think if you can answer those three questions, it's probably going to tell you exactly what you need to do.
Yeah. Wow. That's spot on. So good. I'm going to recycle those regularly with our audience as well. So just highly valuable there. The who am I question. That's so key. A lot of times I work with people that they'll jump into this process and they've never really done any they've never really paused to reflect on who they are, which is also the benefit of why I'm needed. That's the skill set of what a consultant is able to help them do, is help them process those kinds of things when they probably have never done that. They've just been Googling randomly franchise opportunities near me, whatever. And they've never really taken the time to go, who am I in the first place? And what do I want?
That's why we love you guys. Yeah. I mean, when someone comes to us from someone like yourself, Jared, they are so better prepared mentally because you've already asked them those questions and they've already answered those questions before I would ever meet them. And so you guys are an invaluable service, not only to your candidates that would come to you that are like, thinking about franchising, help me out. And then you ask them the right questions so you can place them or not, or be honest with them, right? And then from us, super valuable, because the people that we do get from someone like you who you're like, hey, based on your background and what you're interested in and threshold of investment, maybe it's Alloway, right? Yeah. You've already asked all those questions. So they're very convicted when they get to us. It's like, this is what I want to do. Jared's worked with me. He's worked through all these issues and asked me the right questions. Like, I'm ready to roll.
Yeah. Wow, that's so good. Spot on. Say it again for the people in the back, Rick. I appreciate you. I appreciate you saying that.
No, I mean, that's the value. Like we always say,
that, by the way, everyone.
But it's true. Like if you don't know, if you can't answer the questions that Jared that asked me, who am I? I don't even know. I've never done this, but I've been flirting with it. Seems cool. I might want to do my own thing. I might want to do a franchise. Reach out to Jared. He's going to tell you straight away. He's going to ask you questions, find out what you're all about. He's an honest guy. If he thinks you really just want to go it on your own, he'll tell you so. If not, he's going to try to place you with a brand that he thinks fits you well. Yep. And I'm telling you, from a brand perspective, it's invaluable to have people like you that ask those questions, that when people get to us, they are ready to roll, right? They've been
exactly.
vetted.
You're spot on. That's exactly what we try to do, because deeply we care about here at Fran Opps. We care about you guys watching it. We care about you and your family. We know that this investment that could be 10 years plus, it's a big chunk of your life, is going to impact not just you, but your kids. It's going to impact then their kids, could impact your community, the world you live in, and the way you'll influence that community. Like, there's so many ways of this. And we take that to heart. We take that seriously as if it was my own family, which I got 4 little kids, and they are, my biggest motivator. And so I take you guys seriously as well. And so I want to make sure it's the right fit. And the brands love that. Alloway, especially a company like Alloway, who does so much diligence in preparing for growth, future growth, current growth, and cares deeply about each one of their franchisees. You guys want to partner with people who are the right fit. If it's not the right fit, even if they have a buttload of money, shake their hand, stay friends, and go somewhere else, because it's going to hurt Alloway if it's not the right fit from the beginning. And it's going to hurt you as a potential franchisee if it's not the right fit. So we got to really make sure we do our due diligence well from the beginning, before we make any kind of decision moving forward, So, well said. Rick, finally, if you could, last question, if you could go back to your earliest days as a founder, knowing everything that you know now, what advice would you give yourself about choosing the right path to growth?
It's such a hard question because, you get where you are based on the decisions that you made. And I've never had a day in this journey from starting in college and bootstrapping it to what we do, again, the worldwide business, traveling 42 weeks out of the year, to this. There's not been any stage that I didn't enjoy. So to go back and tell myself, I think I would have just done it. I think I would have done it exactly the way I did it, Jared. So I think I would just be like, hey, enjoy the journey, because it is amazing. You are going to learn a lot. You're going to grow a ton personally. You're going to make a ton of mistakes. You're going to learn a lot there too. You're going to build emotional resilience, which is going to be a great, to your point, crossover skill to your whole life. So I don't think I would tell myself anything different than just be patient. You're on the right path. Keep going. That would be it, because I wouldn't change a thing, honestly.
That's so good. Yeah. Rick, thank you so much for being a part of this and this conversation. And friends, if you're watching this right now, you're watching it 6 months from now, it doesn't matter. You can type alloy in the comments, type ALLOY in the comments, and we'll begin the conversation with you, right? We'll reach out, kind of explain next steps. We'll hop on a short phone call and begin to see if this might be the right fit, or really what might be the right fit for you in general. And I can even just help you wrestle through, should you start your own or should you look into franchise ownership? We can do that. So type alloy in the comments. We'll reach out. We'll get a conversation going. And man, Rick, I just can't, again, thank you enough for your time. I know you guys are incredibly busy because you're doing things so well. And I know you've done a lot of these, none as great as this one, of course, but I appreciate you more than you realize, and your time and your wisdom. So thanks for being a part of it.
Yeah, likewise. Hey, man, appreciate what you do for the entire industry, helping people become entrepreneurs. Obviously, I'm a fan. I love it. So anybody that's involved in helping people become entrepreneurs, I'm a fan of. So keep up the great work, my friend.
Yeah. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate you. And friends, I have a final video for you. Just kind of get a little inside look. You can put your eyes on a little piece of who Alloy is. So check this out. Enjoy. We'll see you next time. Bye.
My name is Suzanne Robb. I am the COO here at Alloy Personal Training. When I think back of like where we started with our operations manuals, getting organized and literally putting them on Dropbox to share with our licensees, to where we are today, it's really amazing. I'm really proud of the work that we've done. From the moment the franchise agreement is signed, we are there guiding them. And that could be from things about territory, giving them demographic information, a design manual, preferred vendors, helping them every step along the way. The graphic or the floor that you use, which equipment to buy, who to buy it from. And it's really like turnkey, like you turn it on and we have built the templates. So there's not going to be a lot of configuring on the franchisee side. They turn it on and they add their employees and they're off and running. Everything we do is through the lens of the customer experience, because at the end of the day, without our customers, we don't have a business. This is a community. This is a culture. It gives you a reason to get up and look forward to it.